The sound of a single glass clinking against a crystal pitcher echoed through the Verdant Cliff ballroom. It wasn't a toast. It was a verdict. Lena Parker stood at the head table, her hands folded gracefully in front of her tailored navy blazer. She had spent 6 months orchestrating every detail of this weekend imported peonies. The string quartet from Vienna, the exact shade of ivory for napkins. She was the architect of the year's most anticipated union. But Adrian Caldwell, the billionaire groom standing 3 feet away, didn't see an architect. He saw a scapegoat. "Ladies and gentlemen," Adrian announced, his voice amplified by the lapel mic. The chatter of 300 elite guests died instantly. "I want to apologize for the delay in tonight's schedule. It seems my wedding planner, Ms. Parker, has failed to coordinate the vendor arrivals." Lena's eyes widened slightly. It was a microscopic reaction, invisible to crowd, but a scream in her mind. She had checked the vendor timeline at 4:00 p.m. It was perfect. Adrian continued, his smile tight, his eyes cold. "Incompetence at this level is not just unprofessional, it's disrespectful. To my bride, to my family, and to all of you who traveled here." He turned to Lena. The room held its breath. "You're fired, Ms. Parker. Please collect your things and leave. Security will escort you out." A murmur rippled through the crowd like a wave. In the corner, Margaret Caldwell, Adrian's mother, raised a champagne flute to her lips, hiding a smirk. She had personally called the caterers an hour ago and told them to reroute to the wrong entrance, just to create this moment. Lena felt the heat of 300 stares. She felt the humiliation wrapping around her throat like a wire. She looked at Adrian, then at the bride, Sophia, who looked down at her plate, refusing to make eye contact. Lena didn't beg. She didn't cry. She simply nodded. "Understood, Mr. Caldwell," she said, her voice steady. She turned and walked toward the grand doors. The security guard, a man she had tipped $100 a day before, looked apologetic as he opened the door. He didn't touch her. He didn't have to. The dismissal was the shove. Outside, the California coastal wind hit her face. She stood on the steps of the resort she had booked, the venue she had secured when no one else could. She walked to her car, unlocked it, and sat in the driver's seat. She didn't start the engine. She reached into the back seat and pulled a leather binder into her lap. It was heavy. It smelled like success and dry ink. Most people saw a wedding planner as a glorified party host. They thought she just picked flowers and tied ribbons. They didn't know about the platinum clause. Lena opened the binder to page 4. She ran her finger down the text. Article 12, for intellectual property and vendor exclusivity. She pulled out her phone and dialed a number. "Daniel," she said to her attorney. "It's done. They breached." She closed the binder. Tomorrow was supposed to be the wedding of the decade, but Adrian Caldwell had just made a $5 million mistake. If you believe competence should be rewarded and arrogance punished, make sure to subscribe. We're just getting started. To understand how a single document could stop a billionaire wedding, you have to go back to the beginning, back to when Adrian Caldwell wasn't a tyrant, but a desperate client. 6 months ago, the Verdant Cliff Resort was a ghost town. It had been closed for renovations, locked in a legal battle with the city council over coastal preservation. Adrian wanted it. He demanded it. He told every planner in the city to get it for him. They all said no. It was impossible. Lena said yes. She sat across from Adrian in his glass-walled penthouse office. He was pacing, checking his stocks. "I don't care what it costs," Adrian said. "My fiancée wants the cliff. If you can deliver it, you're hired. But I need total control." "Total control is expensive," Lena had replied calmly. She was used to men like him, men who thought money bought physics. "I'm a billionaire, Ms. Parker. Write the check." "Money isn't the issue," Lena said, sliding a draft contract across the table. "The issue is the venue's preservation status. To get the permit, I have to sign as the primary licensee. That means for the duration of the event, I technically own the operational rights to the grounds." Adrian waved his hand dismissively. "Fine, whatever. Just get it done." He didn't read the fine print. Nobody does when they think they're the main character. Lena had spent 3 weeks navigating the city council, the environmental board, and the resort owners. She secured the venue by leveraging her reputation. She promised the owners that she, personally, would ensure the property was protected. To make that promise stick, she inserted Article 12. 4. In the event of termination of the planner's services without documented cause of gross negligence, all vendor subcontracts, venue usage licenses, and event IP revert immediately to the planner's control. The event cannot proceed without the planner's written release. It was a standard protection against clients who fired planners midway to avoid paying the final invoice. But in the hands of a woman like Lena, it was a kill switch. Adrian signed it. He initialed the margin. He was too busy looking at the view to look at the words. Back in the present, Lena parked her car at a rest stop overlooking the ocean. The humiliation of the rehearsal dinner throbbed in her chest, but she pushed it down. Emotion was a luxury she couldn't afford right now. She called her lead vendor coordinator, Marcus. Lena? Marcus answered, sounding stressed. The crew is panicking. We heard you got fired. Are we setting up tomorrow or not? Listen to me carefully, Marcus. Lena said, check your contract. Who is the signatory authority for the event? You are, Lena. We contract through Parker Events. Exactly. If Parker Events is terminated, what happens to the work order? There was a pause on the line. It suspends. We can't legally set foot on the venue grounds without the licensee present. Correct, Lena said. Do not deploy the trucks. Do not deliver the flowers. Keep the orchestra on standby. If anyone from the Caldwell family calls, refer them to my attorney. You got it, boss. Lena hung up. She looked out at the dark water. She thought about Adrian's mother, Margaret, the way she had sneered at Lena during the planning sessions. The centerpieces are too simple, she'd say. Or, are you sure you're qualified for this caliber, Miss Parker? It was classism disguised as taste. Margaret Caldwell hated that a girl from the Valley had control over her son's wedding. And Lena had realized 2 days ago that Margaret was actively trying to sabotage her. She had found the altered seating chart in the trash change to put the bride's ex-boyfriend next to the groom's investors. It was a setup for drama. Lena had fixed it, but she hadn't anticipated Margaret would sabotage the timeline itself. It didn't matter. The why was irrelevant. The what was all that counted. They had breached the contract. They had fired her without cause. Now they would pay the price. This story is about to reach its boiling point. If you're enjoying the build-up, hit that like button to let the algorithm know we want more justice stories. The morning of the wedding arrived with a blinding golden sunrise. It was the kind of day that cost millions to guarantee. Inside the resort, Adrian Caldwell was finishing his breakfast on the terrace. He felt good. He had reasserted his dominance last night. The investors had seen him take charge. The staff knew who was boss. He looked at his watch. 9 o'clock a.m. The ceremony was at 2 o'clock p.m. The string quartet should be warming up. The floral team should be dressing the altar. He walked into the grand ballroom. It was empty. The chairs were stacked in the corner. The floor was bare. There were no flowers. No aisle runner. No arch silence. Adrian stopped. Hello? A cleaning lady looked up from buffing the floor. See? Adrian marched to the kitchen. Where's the catering team? Where's the head chef? The kitchen was dark. The steel counters were cold. Panic, cold and sharp, pierced his chest. He pulled out his phone and dialed the catering manager. Hello? The manager answered. Where are you? Adrian shouted. The wedding is in 5 hours. We are at the warehouse, Mr. Caldwell. The manager said. We were told not to deploy. Told by who? By Parker Events. Ms. Parker is a license holder. We can't enter the site without her authorization. It's liability, sir. You know that. Adrian's grip tightened on the phone. I will sue you for breach of contract. Sir, the manager said, sounding bored. Read your vendor addendum. We answer to the event licensee. You fired her. You fired the license. Adrian froze. He remembered the contract. He remembered signing stacks of paper. He ran to the suite where his mother was staying. He burst through the door. Mom, the vendors aren't coming. Margaret looked up from her vanity. She was already in her mother-rough-the-groom gown. What do you mean? Did you not pay them? I fired the planner. Adrian yelled. She locked us out. Margaret scoffed. Don't be ridiculous. She's a party planner. Call the hotel manager. Throw her name around. We are the Caldwells. Adrian dialed the resort manager, Mr. Henderson. Henderson arrived in the suite 10 minutes later. He looked pale. Mr. Caldwell, Henderson said, "There's a problem." "Fix it," Adrian snapped. "I can't. The resort's event permit is filed under Parker Events. It's an insurance requirement for the Coastal Preservation Zone. If MS Parker is not on site as the active planner, our permit to host a large gathering is void." "Void?" Adrian laughed in disbelief. "I own stock in this resort, and I follow the law, sir," Henderson said. "If we proceed without the permit, the city can shut us down and fine us $500,000. I can't take that risk." "So call her," Adrian screamed. "Call her back. Tell her she's unfired." "We tried," Margaret said smoothly from the corner. "She isn't answering." "Then offer her money," Adrian shouted. "Triple her fee." "I don't think money is the issue, son," Margaret said, her voice wavering for the first time. The guests began to arrive at 1 p.m. Black sedans and luxury SUVs lined the coastal highway. They walked into the resort expecting champagne and music. Instead, they found a lobby filled with confused whispers. No ushers, no programs. Adrian stood in the hallway, sweating through his bespoke suit. He tried to smile. Just a small delay, a vendor mix-up. "Please enjoy the bar." But the bar was closed. The resort couldn't serve alcohol without the event permit. The whispers turned to murmurs. The murmurs turned to laughter. This was a disaster. At 1:30 p.m., a black sedan pulled up to the main entrance. Lena stepped out. She was wearing a simple, elegant cream dress. Not a wedding guest, not staff. Something else. She looked like a judge. She carried her leather binder. Daniel Brooks, her attorney, walked beside her. They walked into the lobby. The crowd parted. They recognized the woman from a night before, the one who had been fired. Adrian saw her. He stormed over, his face red. "You," he hissed. "You did this." Lena stopped. She adjusted her sunglasses. "Good afternoon, Adrian." "Nice crowd." "Fix this," Adrian spat, pointing a finger in her face. "Release the vendors. Now, or I will ruin you." Lena didn't flinch. She looked at his finger, then into his eyes. "You fired me, Adrian, publicly, for incompetence. It was a mistake." Adrian shouted. "My mother, it was a breach of contract." Lena interrupted. "Article 12. 4. She opened her binder. She pulled out the single sheet of paper. Upon termination without cause, she read aloud, her voice projecting across the silent lobby. "All operational rights revert to planner. The event is suspended." "Suspended?" Adrian laughed manically. "It's my wedding." "It was your wedding," Daniel corrected, stepping forward. "Currently, it's an unlicensed gathering on protected land. If you try to move those chairs or light a candle, Mr. Henderson will have to call the police." "You wouldn't," Adrian said, looking at Lena. "You wouldn't ruin a woman's wedding day. Sophia is innocent." Lena looked toward the balcony where Sophia stood, watching with tears in her eyes. "You're right," Lena said. "Sophia is innocent." She looked back at Adrian. "But you are not, and your mother is not." Margaret pushed through the crowd. "How much?" She snapped. "Name your price." $1 million? $2? The guests gasped. The bribery was public. Lena turned to Margaret. "I don't want your money, Mrs. Caldwell. I want my reputation back." "You humiliated me last night," Lena said, her voice steady. "In front of my peers. In front of your guests. You call me incompetent." Margaret hesitated. "I was protecting my son." "You were protecting your ego," Lena said, "and you cost him his wedding." Adrian looked at the guests. He looked at the reporters beginning to raise their phones in the back. He was cracking. "Please," Adrian whispered, his voice breaking. "Just let it happen. I'll pay you double. I'll apologize publicly. Just let the wedding happen. We are moments away from a final verdict. If you want to see how Lena handles this power, stay tuned." Lena looked at the desperate billionaire. She saw the fear. She saw the ruin. A part of Hera's small, Human part wanted to let it go, to be the bigger person. But then she remembered. She remembered the way he made the staff feel small, the way Margaret changed the seating chart to hurt people, the way they treated the event like a show, and the people like props. Justice isn't about revenge. It's about consequence. I can't release the license, Adrian, Lena said softly. Why? He screamed. Why? Because I don't trust you, Lena said. If I release it, you will sue me later, you will blame me for the delay, you will ruin me quietly in a courtroom. I know who you... She turned to Daniel. Please inform the guest. Daniel nodded. He stepped onto a small riser near the entrance of Ladies and Gentlemen. Daniel announced, due to a contractual dispute with the host family, the event license for this gathering has been revoked. We ask that you please vacate the premises peacefully. The wedding is canceled. The collective gasp swept the room. Cameras flashed. Oh. Adrian yelled, stop. He grabbed Lena's arm. You can't do this. Daniel stepped in, pulling Adrian's hand away. To touch her again, and you'll be dealing with assault charges alongside the breach of contract. Security hired by the resort moved in. They weren't protecting Adrian. They were escorting guests out that Lena watched as the room emptied. The billionaire's friends, the investors, the socialites they filtered out. Glancing back at the spectacle, Sophia walked down the stairs. She was still in her robe. She hadn't even put on the dress as she stopped in front of Lena. Sophia looked at the binder in Lena's hand. She looked at Adrian, who was pacing, screaming into his phone, but is it true? Sophia asked quietly, did he fire you because of his mother? Yes. Lena said, he blamed me for the delays she caused. Sophia nodded. A single tear rolled down her cheek. But she didn't look angry at Lena, and she looked relieved. Thank you for telling me. Sophia said. She turned to Adrian. We're done. Adrian froze. Sophie, baby, wait. You ruined it. Sophia said, you treated people like toys. And now look, she walked past him out the door, leaving the billionaire alone in the empty hall. Lena stood on the terrace an hour later. The sun was beginning to dip, casting long shadows across the deserted resort. The chairs were still stacked. The arch was still bare. It was quiet, peaceful. Daniel walked up behind her. The resort manager says he'll cover the cost of the staff time. He's not happy with the Caldwells. They'll survive. Lena said, what will you do now? Daniel asked. Lena looked at the ocean. I have a meeting next week. A client who actually respects the work. She smiled. A small, genuine smile, you know. She said, I used to think I needed clients like him to validate my success. And now I know, she said, tapping the leather binder. I am the venue. I am the license. I am the value. She had walked in Humiliated. She walked out undeniable to Adrian. Caldwell didn't just lose a wedding planner that day, he lost the illusion that his money could buy reality. In Lena, she proved that the most powerful thing in the world isn't $1 billion. It's a signature on the right line. That if this story reminded you that dignity is non-negotiable, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We tell these stories for the strong, the silent, and the underestimated. See you in the next one.